And I think that's what's interesting about having our like chats is like talking about how to be this sort of like very present, aware, intentional human while also being a human.
Going through the shit.
Yeah, going through shit.
Yeah.
And I think this particular 2 months has been a really big test of that.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome
to another episode
of
As
Woo As
You
Want
with Celine
and Jeremiah. Hi, everyone.
Well,
yeah,
we're in the midst of it. Wouldn't you say?
So we're just gonna start. Celine literally just got here. We decided not to really talk because
sometimes it's better if we just start.
Yeah, the magic just happens when we.
Yeah, the magic happens.
Yeah, and sometimes you guys miss it, so we're trying to loop you in. Well, welcome to it's February 2020.
February 2020.
220. January was.
I mean, I find February more barf than January. Actually, January and February were a little barfy.
It's kind of just been barf.
I know. And
that's what this episode is about.
No, well, this episode is, I guess, just us trying to work through acceptance, right? And how challenging that is.
Yeah. So,
why has it been so barf for you?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's been. I'll go after you.
Okay. Well, and I'll also say like why Celine and I, we either try and line up guests usually, or we come up with concepts that we haven't covered yet. And for this month, we were chatting last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember, about like what we were going to do for this episode. And honestly, just acceptance is what came to me.
Yeah. I mean, I am on board with that, obviously.
Yeah. Well, at first you were a little hesitant.
Obviously, that's my MO. Resist and then allow.
And then what was it that happened that you were like, we got to do this about acceptance? You sent me like a...
Oh my God, yeah. I guess 2 weeks ago, I just had some sort of like identity crisis.
Yeah.
And it hasn't honestly happened in many years to the extent that it did a couple weeks ago. And then what did I do? I think I like pulled like a tarot card because I was like, let me just see. Let me dip the toe and see if there's anything being offered. And then it was this card that I took a screenshot and sent you of.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was, but it was all about challenging and working through that and shifting, and you might need to shift stuff, do like more inner work. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's where, then I was like, I guess we should talk about it.
Yeah.
January,
and we're also Mercury retro just hit. So, and I'm just going to say it right now. There's been some work that's being done in the building somewhere. So you may start hearing some loud banging.
Yeah, so think about that
and
for the episode.
We're accepting it, and we hope you do too.
It's very loud.
So, yeah. January and February have been not easy.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, what's going on? Because it feels like it's communal.
I think a lot of people are going through this right now. Yeah. And I think that the thing that I have a lot of thoughts about acceptance. And for me, I think a lot of times, people will look at acceptance or they'll see this episode and initially be like, oh, well, fuck that. You know, I think I think particularly in our culture, which is a go, do it culture that doesn't really respect like rest and opening and more of the feminine part of the yin yang dynamic. Acceptance is like resignation and a negative thing, and I don't see it that way. I think for me at this point in my life, particularly, I've mentioned this before, but I'm going through a significant period of learning about money, particularly and value and my own worthiness, and it's all tied up with my professional life, and it's been a very, very slow couple of months for me. Doing all of this surrender work, it's been very, very intense. It's cut to the core of who I am. And that is such a fucking understatement. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've cried. I've done so much. I literally had to... Tosha recommends, as part of an offering practice, to do a coconut smashing ceremony.
I feel like you've mentioned this before.
Yeah. And so it's hard to get coconuts in February in New York City, unless you want to pay up the butt for it. So I bought a gourd.
Yes.
And I smashed a gourd.
Ugh, I love that.
That felt really good. So I've been going through a lot of shit, and I feel like, it sounds like you have, and I definitely want to hear how things have been going.
I mean,
with you.
A lot of like acceptance, and I think is allowing what is to be what is.
That's literally what I was going to say.
And so that's where, and I think a lot of anxieties and struggles and depression and feelings of like not worthiness come out of if you're in a situation and you wish it to be different. And that just sort of creates a disharmony, right? Like nothing is going to come to you when you're just pissed off about how shitty or not abundant your life feels at the moment. And I understand that conceptually, right? Mm-hmm. But I've never really felt that on like a deep soul level till recently. To be like, this is what is, and this is okay. Even if you would prefer it to be something different. And like working through that. And it's like a Bashar concept too. You can't attract or be a vibrational match, right? Like if you're resisting what is. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of me.
It's a lot of people.
And, I think like for me, a lot of it, I had to get to the core of why I was feeling so identity constricted and like confused. And it was my ego. My ego wanting something and like more, I guess, like validation or something to happen faster than it was. Mm-hmm. And being frustrated at a process. And I was like, very difficult experience to be a human being.
You're so spot on. I feel like I don't have anything to say anymore. All right. Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Oh, so spot on. Yeah.
It's an Eckhart Tolle thing. I just saw it.
Why are you reading my goddamn mind now? That's creepy. I was literally about to... I brought his book.
I know,
I'm pointing to his book right now.
There was a thing when I was coming here on the subway. He did an Instagram post. And it's all about acceptance.
Can you read that?
Yes.
Let's share that with everyone.
I can. Here it is. The basis for true change is freedom from negativity. And that's what acceptance implies. No negativity about what it is. And then you see what this moment requires. What is it that is required now so that life can express itself more fully? So... I mean, it's a little wordy, obviously, but, it's like being like a neutral place once again.
Yeah.
Which is so hard.
Neutral and present.
Right. You have to be like grateful for just like being.
Yeah.
Even if you're freaked out.
Well, I almost feel like, you hear gratefulness all the time. Well, gratefulness is almost like positive acceptance.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about gratitude and the difference between gratitude and being thankful.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So the difference the woman in the podcast talks about is she's like, you wake up in the morning and you're grateful you woke up and you're grateful your body's here. And then your partner at breakfast brings you coffee the way you like it and oatmeal, and you're thankful for that person in that moment. So it's like thankful is more about, like, I guess, an experience moment.
Or like a relational experience?
Yeah, like maybe more like transactions.
Yeah.
And gratitude is more of like a state of like being. Which I was like, okay.
Interesting perspective. Yeah.
You know, I think that's what Google told her.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, I think when you said Eckhart Tolle, that's what I was thinking of, because when you are in a state of non-acceptance, you are not present.
Right, and you're resistant.
You're resisting.
And it's like that classic thing of what you resist persists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And part of that, though, yeah. Yes. And.
Yes, and.
Because I think also we're all going through the grinder right now. So, like.
Right.
You know, we're doing the inner work, ideally, that we can to, you know, rectify whatever needs healing. But I also think sometimes it's like, yeah, what you resist persists, but also, like, what if you're not resisting anymore and it's still happening? You know, like sometimes you just have to go through this shit to get literally where, you know, what you were saying earlier, get to a place where I understood this on a intellectual level,
right?
But now I'm experiencing like what it's like to accept.
Do you think they're different? Do you think you can have, if you're truly not in a place of resistance, right? And you're totally allowing everything to be. Do you think that you would really have the disconnect?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
There's the construction.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, though.
Yeah,
I understand, but I'm sort of like, if you truly, or maybe you still encounter like a resistance, but your reaction to it is like, it kind of just rolls out of you quicker.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if it's the time of year, something astrologically in the weather that's happening, that's making everything, maybe it's Jupiter, right? Didn't it come back?
Yeah. I don't know the specifics either. I would have to look into it.
Yeah, I think so. In 2020.
Yeah. But it's super important. It's super important to accept and to see things for what they are. And I think that's kind of the kicker or the paradox of it all, is that there is, I don't know if there is an objective place, right, to perceive your current situation.
Well, if you take a Bashar approach, and that like ideology or like thought theory is like no experience has built-in meaning, right? Like there's no, right? And it's like whoever's experience it has the like puts the value or whatever on it. So I don't know if that's possible as a human being, truly, to be like so neutral about stuff that you're like, I don't know, cool. Might get hit by a car, no big deal. You know, like, I don't know how, you know, and I think that's what's interesting about having our like chats is like talking about how to be this sort of like very present, aware, you know, intentional human while also being a human.
Going through the shit.
Yeah, going through shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this particular last 2 months has been a really big test of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of feel better a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit
funnier.
better right now.
Like in the notes, we have a Google Doc where we like write down stuff, and Jeremiah wrote like about humor.
Yeah, I wrote some notes down for the show.
And I think that's probably where I'm landing lately.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's too much.
You have to have a sense of humor about all this.
Well, yeah, because it can be so tragic.
Exactly. And at some point you have to laugh.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't, then it's just doomed.
Yeah.
You're doomed.
Yeah. You gotta laugh.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh.
You gotta have people around you that you can laugh about it with, too.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you can share your experience with others, that's super, super important. And laugh. And I mean, I wrote in the document, I'm Jewish, so I think a lot of Jews, you see a lot of them are entertainers and comedians, and I think it's because we've gone through millennia of so much hardship and so much persecution and annihilation, or attempts at annihilation, that at a certain point you gotta laugh.
I mean, some of the saddest people are the most funny.
Wait, like who?
A lot of people I've known, I think.
Okay.
Or also, but like comedians.
Yeah.
A lot, like
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Or even, they're so self-deprecating and like have like zero self-esteem.
Right.
But they're really funny.
Yeah. Because it points to something that's human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being human
is funny.
It's kind of silly, right? Like you're here and then you just die. Like it's a silly game. This is a silly thing that we're doing. And we all have to accept that.
Yeah, acceptance, allowing. I don't know. I do.
Do you want to expand more about like how for you,
like what's been happening?
Yeah.
Well, not too much, and I guess that's why I'm sort of like, what's up?
Yeah.
I think career-wise, I was like very much looking forward to like a big snowball momentum. Bum, 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 bum.
Yep.
And then it's been more like bum, 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 bum. And I think as I'm hard on myself, and then my identity is so tied to like, my identity and my worth is so tied to my work. Mm-hmm. And that's very problematic. And so I'm becoming more cognizant of that, and trying to step away and say that's work and career, and I am who I am, separate from that, and like worthy and good. And so I think a lot of it is getting to the core issue of my ego, and I need to like quiet her down because she's not super serving me right now. And and then just like a bunch of like, it just feels like there's a lot of stuff I need to do, and all of it isn't really fun.
Right. You had mentioned that.
And I don't know if it's just a product of being an adult and older and like having your own kind of business. Mm-hmm. I just don't. So it's like kind of that. It's like this weird place to be in for me.
Yeah. There's probably some Saturn in there.
I mean, I'm a Captain Capricorn, right?
Right.
And so all this is like, I just don't feel like I'm like the captain of my ship right now. And I think that's what's making me be like, what? Who is this? Who's in charge here? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Accepting that you're not in control.
Yeah. No. Hate it. But I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled yesterday. Our friend Braxton sent this tarot spread that was
cool.
like a Pisces, because there's a new moon in
Pisces. Yes.
And so it was 3 cards. What do you need to kind of let go of? What do you sort of need to daydream more about? And what do you need to be like intentional and sort of blah, blah, blah. And mine was all about letting go of the rules. Stop trying to be like conform to stuff. And I was like, fair. The other one was like trust a little bit more in like your creative path. And then so it's all these things about like I just have to change my like perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta live outside the box.
Yeah.
What about you? I just was very honest.
No, that was great.
To like, I don't know, 5 people who are listening.
We'll see. No, we get more listeners than that.
Yeah, I am kidding.
Well, one thing I just wanted to mention, though, with what you had said was there were 2 completely separate posts that on my Instagram feed, both talking about that. I think it has something to do with the moon in Pisces. This idea of, and again, it goes back to this culture that values like your productivity.
Yeah.
And like that's your worth. And both of these posts were talking about how we have to separate our value and our worthiness from the work that we do and what we produce. And that just because we produce whatever we produce, whether it's more or less than we want, has nothing to do with who we are and what our value is as an individual.
I know. But for me, it's like really tough for that concept to sit with me because my work is so much about my interactions with people. And if they don't resonate with it, then I'm not building up a business as much.
Right.
But then again, I'll have like, have a slower day and like have that one client who's just like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I'll be like, this is all worth it.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I need to do a little digging to kind of get out. I need to separate more and like learn how to do that because that's not serving.
Yeah, and I think particularly, I mean, where I think we align is the career stuff, is
right.
Accepting where you are, and being really honest about that, being really honest about where you are in your career trajectory, and the stuff with the acceptance too. I think there's like I think you had mentioned earlier, like there's a patience aspect to it, learning to be patient, learning to be present, learning that this is where you are right now. That doesn't mean that you're stuck in this place.
That's like a big one, I think. Like this is a malleable change.
Absolutely. Like that's the beauty of acceptance, is that once you accept, then you become more clear-eyed to your current situation and you know what you need to do to fix it or to change it or to grow from it.
Right.
It's when you're kind of mired in the negativity or whatever it is where you're not seeing things clearly.
Right. I think you
and
just
it's harder to move
wrapped
on.
Up.
Right. Exactly.
Get wrapped up in like the details.
Yes.
Instead of just giving yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And sometimes acceptance, that was like one of the things in my notes was just like I said, sometimes acceptance, what it does is as much as possible, it allows you to see where you are in this moment. And then sometimes that means you're not working hard enough. You do need to work more.
Right.
You do need to do this. You do need to do that annoying shit for your business because that's just what's needed right now.
Right.
And you're seeing it clearly. That's what I need to do. Other times it's chill out. Like you're going too hard. You're not giving yourself a breath. You need a break. Like take the day, take the hour, whatever.
Yeah.
And like regroup and refill yourself.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably more of what people need than anything. I think we all work too hard personally, but that's my personal perspective on it. But Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I also think there's this like misconception that sometimes I think creates a lot of problems in our lives where we think that you have to, like, you and I are both really passionate about what our jobs are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Music. I love, acupuncture and holistic healing. But that doesn't like mean that if you work in like I don't know, if you work in insurance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it pays really well and you get all these vacation days, but it's like not what you're passionate about. Like that's actually totally cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have a fulfilling, home life or whatever. And I feel like maybe it's the age we're at, but like I've talked to like a bunch of friends who are like, I like what I do, but I don't love what I do. Does that mean like I'm, unfulfilled or
Yeah.
not living my best life? And I'm like, no. If
Yeah.
I could just if I had just some like bullshitty job that I cared about, but I wasn't like in love with,
Yeah.
I would be psyched too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I chose the opposite direction.
Me too.
But I'm still psyched on it.
Yeah.
But so identity and self-worth and career, I think we've kind of really screwed the pooch here in the U.S. a little bit.
Yeah. And also we're New Yorkers, so this is like...
True.
I forgot who said... it was some movie where they talk about like what... like give each city one word. What would it be? And New York was ambition, which I was like, wow, that's spot on.
Yeah.
So this is our vibe, like not only American but also
New York.
This is a New Yorker vibe, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
So there may be people listening to this who are like, this doesn't resonate with me, but I think for anyone, for us, it's affecting us with our careers, but I think with other people, it's probably affecting them in other aspects of their lives, whether it's a relationship or, family stuff or...
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
whatever.
I think the idea and concept of acceptance and allowing probably morphs in different phases throughout all of like your whole life.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's career for you and me. Maybe
Right.
it will be relationships in a couple years or family or, like it's just I guess the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just not a sexy topic, like
No.
it's not fun for people to be like, accept like where you are right now.
Yeah.
I think everyone always sells you to that you can be better, you can do this, do that. And that's not to say you can't, but also like acceptance isn't a bad thing. There's something about like being present that is everything, like the whole point is to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I think like when you're talking about acceptance in terms of like maybe like more like psycho-emotional stuff, it's difficult too. If you're like depressed or you're anxious or you have the flu and to be like, okay.
Yeah.
I feel this way right now.
Right.
But like Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about that. And
Yeah, he
like,
does.
Accepting, and I think a lot of it is just breathing.
Mm-hmm. So.
And being present.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about some ways to get into acceptance.
Yeah.
One aspect of acceptance is embracing your feelings.
Yeah.
Like embracing the fact that, okay, I am frustrated. I am impatient. I am angry.
I am anxious right now.
Anxious. I am depressed. I am whatever. And allowing that emotion to be, and for you to be, going through that emotion.
Yeah.
Is massively important and going to be way less painful overall than fighting. I feel like fighting the emotion.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because it puts you in a place of you're not allowing yourself to just be how you are.
Yeah.
And that creates dissonance.
Yeah. And I feel like if you allow, like, when I smashed that gourd Sunday night, like, I was angry. I needed to smash something.
I mean,
and I felt better
that's
afterwards.
Amazing. Yeah.
I felt better afterwards because I went through the emotion.
Screaming into a pillow.
Yeah, well, I've done that.
All the things.
The fun stuff.
They're like kind of nice times. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Did you smash the gourd outside?
Outside, yeah. And then I cleaned it up and I composted it.
The most New York-y thing ever.
Yeah. That was one thing that I just wanted to share. And then another, which is kind of what we talked about earlier, and then yeah, the last thing I do also want to share, is I think with acceptance, we had mentioned, this idea of like being objective, and how that's, is that even possible? Maybe not. But I do think that people, myself very much included, have a tendency to write narratives about our lives. And a lot of those times, those narratives are negative. And so I think when you come to, or a way to get to a place of acceptance is dropping the narrative. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I think a lot of people live with like, this is where my life has been and this is where it is now and this is where it's going. And the reality is like, you have no fucking idea.
Right. Well, also like a narrative is a story that we've been telling ourselves for a long time.
Right.
And a lot of times it's hard to get out of the story without recognizing you are telling yourself a story. Mm-hmm. So, which can be really tough to be like, oh. Kind of, I mean, I think sometimes the idea of acceptance in something is taking responsibility for like your your mental environment, mm-hmm. and what you're feeding yourself, mm-hmm. emotionally. Like I have a client that I like love. She's wonderful. And, the way that she talks about herself, and the stories she tells, I very lovingly one time mentioned this to her. I was like, listen, don't talk about yourself that way. Like, your body will respond. Your like landscape responds to the way we talk about ourselves. And so
absolutely,
I think, the stories we tell perpetuate the cycles that we experience. And it's difficult without like a team of people to help you do this.
Yeah.
So it's like it's about control, but I also think it's about recognizing the core things that are going on with you. Mm-hmm. Money, egos, or maybe cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Right?
For sure. Yeah. Because I think there's also, I think that's fantastic, because I think there's a part of acceptance where you also, again, it's like, it doesn't have to be a resignation. You can accept like that you're healthy, or that, right. Like maybe the job is going great. Maybe
or like maybe things are looking up.
Maybe things are looking up, and like accept that and allow yourself to feel happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Missed that boat. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like two sides to all of it, but it's nevertheless I think it's a difficult practice to do.
It is. And I think like we said, I think one way to get to that place is letting yourself feel what you feel, mm-hmm. to not numb yourself anymore, to embrace the feeling and go through it. And it may not be fun at the moment, but it's going to be way more fun than living a life that's numb. And, if you watch any Brené Brown or read any Brené Brown work, she talks about this all the time.
I forgot about her. She's great.
Yeah. If you numb one emotion, you can't selectively numb.
Right. You gotta be on board.
Yeah. And so by going through that emotion, you're opening yourself up to the world again. And that includes joy, and the positive stuff. I think that's one way of coming to a place of acceptance. I think meditation,
I mean, hands down,
is huge.
breathing.
And breathing, absolutely.
What's that called? The nose breathing.
Oh, I love that one.
What's that? It's called something.
Celine is like basically closing one nostril and then the other.
Yeah, you breathe in through one nostril, close it, breathe out through the other.
Yeah, that's a great breathing
Some
exercise.
like pranayama yoga breathing thing.
Yeah, I love that. That's good.
I mean, look, you could find a good therapist. You know, hypnotherapy, Shauna Cummings.
We've highlighted a lot of people who are awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot of resources.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mean, it's all permission slips, right? To get you to where you kind of need to be or feel good. So you can, you know, scream into a pillow, or you could go to therapy, smash a gourd.
Smash a gourd or a coconut.
Go to a float tank. I did that.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just trying to be present and like take away the like emotional response to a negative or not great situation happening that you can't control. It's just happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And getting back in your body, like out of your head and into your body again.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of those tools are fantastic for that. And that's why I love, you know, Abdi's work, because it's so much of
physical.
It. And he, you know, he's from New York, and you know, we're so cerebral and we're so like mental, and we forget that like we have a whole body. And when you do that, I think you do start to feel more present. And then from those places, then I feel like you come to a less stigmatized or less kind of subjective and more objective place of seeing your present situation and accepting it for what it is. And you may be surprised what occurs from that practice.
Yeah.
You know, you may look at your current circumstances and go, oh, things are good, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, maybe I want things to be better, but right now they're good. And I have to be, and then you can get to a place of gratitude.
I mean, I could say that about my life right now. Things are good.
Me too.
Things are totally
Me too.
fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, cool it. Chill out, Celine.
Inner child stuff. We always talk about it, but I think
the inner child.
That's a big part of it too. The kind of the thrashing about is very much usually inner child thing.
Yeah.
Just wanting attention with whatever, you know, if he or she needs playtime or just attention, dancing, drawing.
Yeah.
Maybe draw some skulls.
Love drawing a good vertebrae.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I did it the other night, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was good. So I just think it's interesting that we're having the same kind of shared experience of sort of this time, particularly January and February.
Yeah.
You know.
There's definitely something going on.
I feel like it's like almost, it feels to me like when I graduated college and I was about to graduate and I was like, what am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do. Or maybe like when I first started acupuncture, like there's a sense of like something is to come that's going to be cool, but like I don't know when or how, and I just need to like be comfy where I am. And that's right. So this is like an acceptance thing, right?
I was going to be like, and accept where you are.
Where I am.
Yeah. I wonder if there's the years, if there's a certain cycle that's happening in your chart.
Yes, there is.
There is. Okay.
Yeah. It's like I also will say, like, I think part of my problem right now is expectation.
Totally.
And, I kind of screwed the pooch on that one. Or I expect stuff. And is that like ego?
I think it's very, 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 very natural to expect stuff. Sure, ego, but I think that's everyone
Expect stuff?
expects.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think we live in a culture where a lot of stuff is so on demand that some of the, we're both doing things where it's a craft and it takes time. Mm-hmm. It just fucking takes time. There's no way around it.
Right.
And so results happen when they happen, and you just have to keep working at your craft, and you may expect a result, and it's not the result that you're looking for a lot longer than you thought it would be. And I don't know. That's just the reality. I think a lot of people don't, they see the end result. They see the fame,
Right.
They see the fortune, they see whatever it is, but they don't see how much hard work went into that.
Yeah. I want to be like, just like comfy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
But so I do think it's like getting to the core belief of like what's going on with me about these like ideas, and like sitting down and seeing what's really creating such dissonance.
Yeah.
And that can be tough.
Absolutely. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Okay, so we talked about things you could do to be more in acceptance, gratitude. What else?
Well, I can share. I have a prayer from Tosha's book, Change Me Prayers.
Okay.
That I could share. That's an acceptance prayer.
Sure.
If you want to end on that note.
Sure. Who are we praying to?
Well, it's a prayer that people can take with them.
I see. Like kind of a.
Who are we praying to? Love.
Love. Okay.
The universe.
Yeah, let's do it.
Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. It's short, but it's nice.
Okay.
So she uses the term divine beloved.
Perfect.
This is from Tosha's Change Me Prayers book, which came out a few years ago. Tosha Silver. And it goes like this. Change me, divine beloved, into one who willingly embraces what you send, the easy and the hard, as if it had come from my own heart. And let me trust that even the most unfathomable mysteries will be revealed over time. Change me into one who can trust what's unfolding. I am yours. You are mine. We are one. All is well.
I love all as well.
Yeah, all is well.
That's a nice little.
Yeah. She ends a lot with, I am you, you are mine, we are one, all is well. And it's an interesting phrase that I think for a while I didn't totally understand, but I'm kind of understanding more and more, which is basically like when you're doing these prayers, you're kind of praying to yourself.
Right. You're like your bigger self.
Yeah, exactly. And it's part of this idea that you, me, we're all actually one thing. And it's kind of closing that gap of separation.
Right. Tosha Silver. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So we hope you enjoyed that episode, that you hopefully found some nuggets of
something
helpful information in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the most fun one, but
no,
it's important.
It's fine though.
Yeah. Sometimes this stuff is not always easy, and acceptance isn't an easy one. So
no, but it could be.
It could be.
Here's to hoping it's an easy ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Love you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.